Hello everybody, today we are back in my bathroom. I'm going to be doing a makeup tutorial for you today. We did skincare last week, so if you haven't seen that I will link it in the info box below for you, but today I thought I would show you my everyday makeup routine at the moment. So this is a look that you will have seen me do quite a few times over Vlogtuber so far, and a few of you have asked me about the pink sparkly eyeshadow that was on my eyelids and how I achieved that look, so I thought I would show you guys today because it is the most disgusting rainy day and I'm not leaving the flat today, so no vlogging. So I have already primed my skin today. I used the Cooler primer. It's got like an SPF 30, yeah, SPF 30 in it, and I really like this one because it's just like a really nice primer and SPF in one, and I just use it as like the last step in my skincare routine at the moment when like I was away from home last night, so I didn't have my mist with me, and it's just a really good one because it like preps my skin for makeup, but it also means that I don't forget to put SPF on before I leave the house. So yeah, it's one of those nice like 2-in-1 products when I'm staying away from home. I don't have to take like some kind of base and then an SPF. So yeah, this is where my skin is at so far today. Skincare routine done, a little bit of primer, an SPF, and that is it. I've got a few more marks than usual on my skin today, so I will be going a little bit more high coverage just because I think I was sat like this quite a lot the other day and I have quite a few little red breakouts around the bottom of my face. So my base is still very much unsurprising. If you watched my, I think it was my wet look makeup tutorial that I did over the summer, this is the Vita Liberata Beauty Blur Sunless Glow. So this one has a little bit of self-tanning in it, which I love. Just leaves you with a tiny bit of tan left on your skin at the end of the day, and I really love that. So just dot that onto my cheeks, my forehead, and then a bit on my chin, and then I'll just blend down my neck as well. So yeah, I'm still using this, still loving it. I remember when I used this in the summer in my tutorial, and quite a few people pointed out my skin's texture, which I do have quite like textured skin, I'm not gonna beat around the bush, but one of the things that like I wanted to kind of note on that is how many kind of like videos on YouTube have people that have like very perfect skin, or even use like a beauty filter on their videos so that you don't see, you know, any texture to the skin and it looks completely smooth, and that is not what I do on this channel. So, you know, I will zoom in very close. You will be able to see my skin's texture and dark spots, and that's very normal. I feel like a lot of the time we aren't used to that because on Instagram, on IGTV videos and on YouTube videos, we just see like perfect skin and think that that is normal, and it's not, especially not for my skin type either. I find lots of my friends that have like more olivey skin textures tend to have the same thing. I've got a lot of friends that have like very like poreless skin and it's beautiful, but then a lot of my friends also suffer with the same texture that I do. So yeah, with different skin types it is very normal to have this kind of texture to it, and you know, it can be better or worse depending on your skincare. Mine's definitely getting better, but I did kind of want to point out that that kind of poreless, flawless skin is not normal for everyone. So that's my base done. I love the way that works with my skin and just makes it look really nice and glowy. And next I'm going to go in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I use the shade Medium Honey, which is 35H if you wanted a number. I'm pretty sure some just fell on the floor. Cool. And I tend to dot this around my scarring on my cheeks. I always get spots here and it scars really badly, so I always pop some there. And then underneath my eyes, my chin, a little bit here where I get red, and then just a tiny bit on my forehead. It doesn't need too much. I tend to like blend in the center and then blend out towards the edges. So some days when I'm going for like a lower coverage look, or I don't have as much scarring kind of around here, oh, I forgot to do the sides of my cheeks, I need to do that. I'm just gonna do a couple there, and then also down here as well because I've got a little bit of red pimpling going on. And one of the things I like to do with this concealer is actually leave it on my skin. I tweeted about this a little while back saying I just didn't get this concealer, like everyone raves about it and I don't understand. It just didn't really do anything for me. It didn't really cover amazingly and I didn't understand what all the fuss was about, and kind of just tweeted saying, am I using it wrong? I don't want to assume that it's a bad product when actually it might just be I need to learn a new technique. And lots of people told me to let it set before buffing it in, and I tried it and it worked really well. And when it gets to the areas where I need more coverage, I stipple it in with this brush, and I started using this brush with it and it actually works much better than the brush that I was originally using. I can't remember what, I think it was the other end of my It Cosmetics brush, and this one just works so much better. So I just kind of dab at this area and it works really beautifully for covering breakouts. I had some of the worst breakouts I've ever had at the end of August. Sod's law for Victoria from In the Froze wedding. Worst skin I've had in years. It was like a freak breakout. I've not had anything like it since. You just would never have known in all of the photos from the wedding that it was that bad, and I owe a lot of that to this concealer. And also the Pat McGrath setting powder really did me a solid on that trip. So yeah, as you can see, that has blended really nicely. I'm going to check this over in a mirror in a second to make sure that I don't have any marks, because I know that will happen. That's the worst bit about doing makeup videos. I always miss a bit. So I'm actually going to move on to my eyes now. I'm working with quite a few darker eyeshadows at the moment, and because of that I like to kind of do a little bit to my base, do my eyes, re-conceal any areas that I need to, and then move on to the rest of my face, just so I don't mess up like any contour or highlight when I'm doing that cleanup. I've had a lot of questions on the pinky shadow that I've been using on my eyes. The base for that is the Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks, and this is in Magnetic Pink. So I literally just start off by just kind of going along my lash line, getting right into the root, because that's quite hard to do sometimes I find with an eyeshadow brush. And then I just kind of carve out my crease line, I guess, and cover my whole eyelid, and then I do my inner corner and then just trace all the way around my eye basically, which looks crazy now, I am aware. I really hate doing this eye on camera because my eyesight is really bad in this eye. It's so hard to see anything. So if this eye ends up really dodgy, you know why. This eye has literally no long distance. I'm just kidding, it's not that bad. I can see, but it's easier when I use this. So yeah, now that it's done, I just take a little kind of flat eyeshadow brush. This is the MAC 239S. I just kind of like blend that out a tiny bit. Blending without really blending, just kind of like making sure it's all kind of like sitting nicely. It's not too built up. And then I'm going to be taking my Too Faced Natural Lust palette, which I am still loving. I used this in my last tutorial. I'm still obsessed with this palette. It's so big, there are so many looks to it that I feel like I'll be using this for a really long time. And I like to use the shade Flirty Pop, which is here. And then I also mix it with a bit of Love Shack, which is this one here. And I use that for kind of like the base of this eyeshadow look. As you can see, it's pretty much the same colour, just with a bit more warmth. And this just gives a really nice sheen to the eyeshadow look. And towards the edges and my crease, I just kind of feather it out a little bit. Yeah, just kind of gives some warmth to the base, which is a very cool toned pink. And then there's the shade here called Just Like That, and I take a little bit of that on the same flat brush that I was using before. This is a Sigma cream colour brush, the E58, so it's very long and very flat, perfect for very like creamy shadows. And I just kind of take this one over the outer 2/3 just to give it a little bit more depth. And I find that this colour, because it's got a bit of a purpley hue to it and it's a little bit darker, works really nicely on brown eyes as well. We all know, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know my lifelong quest to make brown eyes pop, because it's basically impossible. And then I'm also going to take that same darker shade and run that underneath my lower lash line. And it's looking a little bit messy around here, but I don't really worry about that. That's why I do the cleanup after. But the one thing I would say to be aware of with these eyeshadows is they are quite glittery, so you might want to kind of like clean off your lower lash line after you've applied this, because I do find like little bits of glitter kind of get stuck in the lashes and can kind of irritate my eye a tiny bit. But that is the price you pay for like such a glittery kind of like pigmented eyeshadow. So once I've done with my shimmer shadows, I like to take this shadow here, which is called Afternoon Delight. I used this in my last tutorial and I'm still really loving it, and I like to take this on a Real Techniques fluffy brush and I just blend that over my crease. And I kind of take my crease up a lot higher at the moment. It's something that I've been kind of playing about with over the summer, and it's just kind of stuck with me. So I take my crease colour up quite high, almost as if I'm going right up to the brow bone, but I'm not. and it kind of just gives me a really nice seamless blend. So I think it gives me more room to play with on my actual eyelid when I'm not taking my crease colour down as low as I normally would. It's kind of giving me more of an eyelid and making my eyes just look a little bit bigger. So that is about it, just a really subtle, soft wash of definition in the crease, nothing too crazy. I don't want to take away from how shimmery my eyeshadow is, and it's already quite dramatic in how shimmery my eyelids are and the crease and the underneath, so I don't really want to make it look more dramatic by adding like a very dark colour in the crease. I actually think that will make my eyes look very, very heavy, and it will kind of date the look a little bit more, whereas I want this to look really, really fresh. So now that that's done, I'm going to be adding some definition to my lash line, again using the same palette. This palette's so versatile, it's really great. I'm going to be using this dark brown shade here. It's like the second darkest shade in the palette, and I'm just taking that on a 317 winged liner brush from Zoeva, and I just literally tap that into my lash line. I try and be as gentle with this as physically possible, because otherwise you do get a little bit of fallout, and I do generally tend to get fallout underneath my eyes, which is very annoying, but it's worth it. One product that I'm really interested to start working with is like kohl pencil for this. I'm really interested to see how that goes, or like a more creamy liner. I feel like that would be better in terms of fallout, but not necessarily in terms of like working with powder shadow on my eye. So we're doing okay so far, not too much fallout. So I just tap in really gently at my lash line, and then once the product has been applied to my lash line, I kind of take the brush very gently and kind of feather out, so you just get a little bit more of a like diffused look. And then I'm going to take this eyeshadow brush from, this is a Dior one, but any kind of like small fluffy brush, and I just blend that out. I feel like you'll see me doing this a lot at the moment. It's something that I am really into with all of my makeup looks. And then I go in again and just add that definition back to the lash line, so we get a really like concentrated pigment at the lash line, and then it's more kind of fanned out further out. And then I just kind of repeat that over until I've got it right, and as you can see, that is the point when I start to get a little bit of fallout here. I really should just like pop a cotton pad or something like that there, but yeah, this is the point when I would tend to get a bit of fallout, and the bigger the brush, the more fallout I tend to get. But it's fine, because we're going to clean that right up in a minute. So that is this eye so far. I'm just going to do the other one. I've just dabbed a tiny bit of concealer under my eyes, and then I've also got this flat brush here. I think this is a Dior one as well, but any brush in this shade is so good. I am loving this at the moment because it just allows me to really easily clean up this area here, and I'm kind of not being too precise with it right now, because partly because I'm mid-speech, so I can't concentrate as well, but also because you don't need to be super perfect with it, but it allows you to get a really nice sharp line really easily. So even though this makeup look, I want it to be really blown out and really soft, it's just nice to have a kind of very clean line between your eyeshadow and then your skin. And I always find this doesn't look like it makes too much difference in real life, but especially under flash photography, this technique has been making all the difference to my eyeshadow routine lately. You can really see everything looks very snatchy in photos, and I love that. At the moment it looks very clean and it doesn't look right, which is fine, because what I tend to do is just once I'm done blending with my concealer brush, I then, just when it's almost blended, I just take my really tiny pencil brush from earlier that I used for under my eyes, and then just kind of go over that line a little bit, and then it helps this to kind of blend better. So now that is all done, I'm just lining my waterlines with a nude liner, just because my eyes tend to get a little bit red after I apply eyeshadow, so I just find this helps to make them look a lot brighter. And especially when we've got that smoky under eye, I just think it looks really nice to have a little bit of brightness just there. I think especially because I'm going to do bottom lash mascara as well, I just think it looks really pretty. I'm gonna leave my eyes alone for a second just to give them some time to kind of like reset, because otherwise they'll get a little bit watery on me. So I like to do my brows and then come back to my eyeshadow a little bit later. My eyeshadow? My mascara, what am I talking about? Oh my god, brain dead. Wow. I'm gonna leave my mascara and come back to it in a minute, just to give my eyes a chance to like reset. And I'm just brushing my brows up using an Hourglass pencil, which is what I have been using for quite a while for my brows, but it currently is dead. So I kind of brush my brows around a little bit just to see what's going on and where I need to kind of put more product before I put my brow gel in. So I can see that this brow here is a lot fuller on the edges than this brow here, so what I want to do is thicken that up. I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pomade in the shade Ash Brown, which is pretty much my eyeshadow colour. They are a very, very ashy brown. And I just like to do really small, soft strokes at the moment to fill my brow in. I haven't done a full brow, I think in like about a month now. So yeah, I just kind of like to thicken that up. Put a little bit on the other side as well, just because you can always see if I've done one and not the other. But yeah, something like that. And then I also want to fill in, there's a little gap that I've got here, so I like to fill that in. And then a tiny bit on the other side as well, just so they kind of look even. But I always put a little bit more on this brow because this is the more sparse one of the two. So as things stand at the moment, this is probably where I would leave them with the filling in. But actually when I was doing my makeup at the start of the month, I was just sculpting them a little bit more than that. So I'm just going to do that for the sake of this video, and I'll show you my more fluffy, more relaxed brow routine maybe at the end of this month. But yeah, so I kind of gave it a little bit more of an edge, just very, very softly. But it makes all the difference when it comes to brushing the brows up. And then I like to use the L'Oreal Brow Artist Plumper. I've been using this for years. I love it. This is the brown shade, and it's got like a little wand like this, and I just like to brush them up. I know lots of people like to brush down then brush up because it leaves the most product on your brows and is meant to make them look thicker, but I find in terms of having like a really fluffy brushed up brow, it doesn't work as well when I brush them down first. So I just like to brush my brows up, take this right the way to the end. And yes, I'm aware that my brows are a little bit crazy on the ends at the moment. My facial hair in general is crazy at the moment. I do not have time for face maintenance right now outside of my skincare routine. My brows are bushy. I have not waxed or bleached my top lip in God knows how long. I look like Mrs. Wolverine, and I'm okay with that because I'm busy. Very, very busy. But actually I like the fact that my brows are a little bit unruly with this brushed up look. They work well together, and I really just try and get in right underneath my brow with this brush, just to make sure that all those hairs underneath that are very, very fine and quite light are coated, and it just really helps to give my brow a much thicker look. So they're a little bit crazy at the moment, but once they set, they kind of tone down a little bit. More recently, I've actually been setting them twice so that they actually stay very, very fluffy. But I'm not going to do that today because that's not part of this look. But yeah, I'm really enjoying a very fluffy brow at the moment. I just think it looks very soft, especially with how like blown out the eye look is and how soft the kind of like definition on the lashes is. I just find that the two work really, really nicely together. So now I'm going to contour, and as usual I will be using the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Foundation Stick in the shade, I think this is shade 10, and I just dot a little bit. I was using a lot more than this a few months ago, but recently I have come to find that less is more with my contour. It looks so much better if I just kind of like use and work with small amounts. Always dot a bit there. This is my jawline, kind of is quite rounded. I don't have one of those perfectly like jaws, so I like to just pop a little bit here just to give my jawline a little bit more shape. Fortunately, haven't forgot to blend it in yet. Yeah, I always take a little bit there and then take the rest of it kind of lower. So I've taken it higher here and then I take it lower and just round around my jawline, and that just helps to give it a little bit more definition and kind of give the illusion of the shape that I want. I'm going to come back and do my neck fully in a minute, but that is just kind of like the prep for it. And then with my cheekbones, I've been leaning towards a more kind of low contour lately. I remember going to a Tom Ford masterclass years ago and seeing them do a really low, like blown out, kind of very rounded contour that wasn't too much here but more over this side of the face, and I always just thought that it looked really beautiful. So I've kind of been leaning a bit towards that at the moment and just kind of like doing a really blown out round contour, and I like it. I like it a lot. I do still love the contour that comes kind of like all the way around. It's very like Kardashian-esque, like Khloe Kardashian is the queen of that kind of contour. I still think it's really gorgeous, but it's just nice to do something that feels a little bit softer and more fresh at the moment. Also gives me more room to put a blusher in if I want to, which I haven't with this look because I think that would make me look a bit too doll-like, because it is a very pinky eye look. But I do still like a kind of like mauvey neutral tone blush. I just put a little bit on my temples just to kind of give my forehead a little bit of definition. Who doesn't love a bit of forehead definition? And then I'll come back later and also bronze it up. And then just always a little bit on my nose. Just can't not do nose contour anymore. Doesn't feel right without it. It's a real slippery slope from just like bronzing your nose to just like full on contour every day. Just realised I forgot to do my inner corners of my eyeballs. I'm going to be using this palette today. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. It's really beautiful. I want to do a full look with this soon, so let me know if you would like to see that. But I just take this lightest shade here onto a really tiny brush. This is a MAC 219S. Is that an S? I'm going to say it's an S, that's not 5. I think it's an S. And then I just tap that in the inner corners of my eyes, and this is really beautiful shimmer to it. And then once I've patted that in, I kind of just like to work in circular motions just to kind of blow it out a little bit more. It just looks really pretty. I love it. Next I'm going to bronze. I'm going to be using MAC's Give Me Sun bronzer. Some things never change. And I'm just going to gently sweep that over my cheekbones. Kind of in the same place that we put the contour. And then I just take it a little bit further out just to give it a little bit of a blown out look. So it's all nice and soft and diffused. You know the deal by now. I feel like I've said the same thing about a million times in this tutorial. And again, doing my nose, and I kind of just like use the excess to go over the nose and on my cheeks just to give it that kind of sun-kissed look. And then take this over my forehead as well. And then I always do my ears just to make sure everything matches up. And then I take this down my neck as well. Now my eyes are ready for me to go back in with mascara. I'm going to be using the Bare Minerals Lashtopia mascara. I really love this. I've actually started using something else a bit more recently, but this is all I've been using so far at the beginning of October. So I'm just gonna stick to the list and keep things just very real and like do the exact look that I was doing at the beginning of the month. And I really love this mascara. Like I have backups and backups and backups of this. Just gives the most like real kind of fluttery look. Like apart from that one there, it's a bit clumpy. Let's move you. Yeah, just makes them look like almost like falsies lash extensions, that kind of thing. It's just so fluttery and pretty. I really love it. And it works really well when you want to do a fluttery like bottom lash as well. The other eye, I have to say, will not look the same because this one never does. I must sleep on this side more, it just never looks the same. But I have found that the lashes are also just naturally shorter on it. So I've been trying lately not to over apply product to try and like even them out. Like if the lashes are naturally shorter, they're just naturally shorter, and I've been leaving it, and it does help a lot more. It makes them look a lot more real and fluttery. And I've also been going right in to the very start of my lash line, which is something that I never ever used to do. So literally just making sure every tiny lash is coated. And voila. So yeah, once I've done that, I just take any excess that's on my brush and, oh, what is the best way to do this? Yeah, I take any excess that is on my brush and I just kind of run it over my bottom lashes. And I try and be as careful with this as possible because, especially with the shimmery look, I liked it to be really fresh. So I literally just wanted the lashes coated. I didn't want any excess kind of like falling down. Especially like there are some days where I wasn't using the more darker kind of mauvey toned brownie shimmer, and I was just using, literally just using the pink. And for that look I liked this to be very bright underneath my eyes. I'm actually enjoying using the darker shade under my eyes at the moment because I find that it helps to kind of conceal, like I have a little bit of darkness that is underneath that eyeshadow. That's the way my skin naturally goes. I have a little bit of darkness kind of under my waterline, and I just find it helps to kind of cover that. But if you don't like the darker shadow and you want to just keep the lighter pink underneath your eye, I would just recommend using a cotton bud to tidy up after you've done the mascara, just to make sure there's no little splotches. And as with my upper lash line, I'm also taking the mascara really close to the inner corner of my eye. Again, just making sure every little lash is like coated in mascara. It just gives a really nice like soft fluttery look, and I really like it. So finally I am going to be doing my lips, and this is probably one of the product combinations that I get the most questions on, so I'm really happy to finally be answering this question, kind of like not just in the comments section, because I find like not enough people see it. But I used like these 3 products mostly at the start of October and I really love them. I've got a new combination that I'm loving at the moment, which I'm really excited to show you all, but this is the one that I was using the most over the past kind of like month or so. So I'm using Stone Lip Liner by MAC. I can spot this a mile off. I saw someone use this on Instagram the other day and I knew immediately that they were using this. I kind of overline a tiny bit, but only really on the top part, and I tend to keep this part down here as kind of like within the line of my actual lip as possible. And then kind of overline right around the Cupid's bow. I just find it helps to keep it looking a lot more fresh. I do rub it in quite a lot now. I used to kind of leave it a bit more, but I'm enjoying kind of just having a really soft lip at the moment. My bottom lip line, however, I like to draw the whole way around this, especially here it goes a bit like the actual natural lip goes very splotchy, it always has done. So I just like to really even that lip line out. It just makes it look so much more full as well, because it's like a very grey toned nude and it's quite dark. It gives more of a shadow to your lips. So that is lip liner done. Like I said, I blended that in quite a lot, so it's very subtle, but I find it just helps to really make everything just look a little bit more pouty. And next I'm going to follow it up with the Colourpop liquid lip in Sunny Side. Yeah, I almost said Sunday. That would have been incorrect. And I just put this all over my lip, and this is just really lovely and long lasting, and I just love the colour. I think it is one of my favourite nudes I've ever worn. The nice thing about these though is they're sheer, so my lip liner, if I want to do it darker and have a more 90s lip, will kind of shine through. I'm doing this in my viewfinder and I really hope I'm doing an okay job. Let's double check. Not too shabby. And then I'm just going to finish that off with a Clinique lipstick that I've been loving lately. I got these kind of early mid-September and I really like them. This is the Colourpop, no, it's the Even Better Pop lipstick in shade 04 Subtle. So really pretty, really easy nude. It's basically like the liquid lipstick, but just in a very comfortable lipstick formula, and I just find the two together are really long lasting but look really nice and soft on the lips, and I just love them a lot. So yeah, so that is the finished look. It's very fresh, very glowy. I'm really enjoying wearing my makeup like this at the moment. It's just a lot more soft, and I don't know, I'm enjoying that a lot. So yeah, that is my finished look. I really hope you've enjoyed this and it answered some of your questions on how I've been doing my makeup so far. And yeah, that is it. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye.